let's keep going with this for a little bit longer. So as a new Christian, I remember hearing about predestination. It seemed like a big word that didn't really relate to my life. I wasn't interested in the debate about predestination and if you're predestined to be saved or predestined to not be saved. I had no heart to go there. But God began to show me and teach me that He had a plan for my life that He wrote before I was. That interests me. I wanted to find that out. So regular, I can't say every day, but like almost every day, I would pray and say, God, I want your will. I want your purpose for my life. Don't leave me to myself. I've had my own will. I've done my own thing. It just left me ashamed and bankrupt and feeling empty. I want your will. I want what you've destined for me. And I just kept that before the Lord. And I remember asking Him at one point in time, I said, Lord, I don't understand how you can give me, how you can write a will for my life, and yet I can still do my own thing. And He helped me sort that out, how He's created us with a will, and He wants us to surrender our will to His will, and that's how you come into the will of God. But I was still stumped by this whole thing. I said, Lord, show me, help me. And I had this picture come into my heart. I think in pictures, and that's how He speaks to me oftentimes. And so I had this picture of a map, like a topographical map of my life. And I could see myself being born, and there was a pin with a ribbon stuck in the place where I was born. And so there's, if you could picture a red ribbon pinned where I was, the moment I was conceived and brought forth. And it ran across, there's, parts of my life my parents chose for me. I didn't have any choice in what city I was going to be born in or any of that. But the map was laid out, and the ribbon went across circumstances and touched people's lives and went places and went across this map of circumstances. And then the moment where I die, there's a pin in the end of the red ribbon. And that's my life. That's the life that I've lived, or the life that I've chosen, my parents have chosen. Then if you can picture another ribbon, say a blue ribbon, pinned in the same place, but this ribbon is what God destined for me. It's the will that He wrote for me. And maybe it starts off the same, where I was conceived and where I was born, and maybe it's purple. Blue and red make purple. So maybe the first couple inches are purple, and then there's a point where I'm able to do some things on my own, decide some things, and so the red kind of goes off and diverges from the blue, and sometimes it crosses and there's a little bit of purple, and then sometimes they're parallel, and there's a whole period I know where I just did my own thing, and that red ribbon just went way, way off, but I wasn't satisfied. It wasn't fulfilling. And there was different times when I would tell my mom, there are so many neat things that happened that I thought maybe somehow a ghost or something, my grandfather, somebody was kind of organizing things for my life, because so many times things would come together that just seemed uncanny. And she said, no, that's God. And that would shock me to hear that God would have anything to do with my life, like God would be doing anything. I remember being so shocked that she would believe that. And then at age 21, my life was completely burned out. I just wrecked my life. I called out to God, and Jesus stepped into my now, and I became a Christian. And for the first time, there's this purple patch. And yet I still had a will, so there's some times when the blue and the red diverge, but then I did not feel secure in that. I'd say, God, help me, I want your will, and it would come back. And for the last 40-some years, I've tried to get more purple in my life. I still have a will, I can still do my own thing, and when I do, it's boring, it's unsatisfying, it doesn't, even today, these days, God, give me vision, give me fresh vision, let me see. And every now and again, he'd open my eyes to see what was ahead, and I would shoot toward that to try to get more purple in my life. One of my great quests in life is to get more purple in my life. That's where the peace is. That's where the satisfaction is. It doesn't mean that everything happens to me is the will of God. People have a will, I have a will, the devil has a will. But I can crave and call out for and pray and ask for the will of God for my life. And then that's when I'm at the most peace, and that's when I feel the most being fulfilled. If you think about it this way, that if he wrote my life, and the way I get there is I surrender my will to his will and become childlike and movable and pliable and flexible, and submitted. That's the most satisfying place to be. The most fulfilling place to be is in the will of God. And I've had whole moments where I've stood and I realize I'm perfectly in the will of God. In this moment, doing what I'm doing, I'm completely matched with what he's destined for me, what he's created me for. It's the most fulfilling thing I can think of. I wish everybody could have moments where you realize I'm in the will of God. I'm doing what I'm made to do. You won't be fulfilled unless you're doing what he destined, what you're designed for. That's when you're the most fulfilled. And so the great quest in life for me is a lifelong pursuit of trying to find the will of God and abide in it and experience more of it. I wish that for you. I wish that for all of you. But it's not something you bumble into. It's not something you stumble into. It's not something that just happens automatically. You have to procure it. You have to insist upon it. You have to pray, God, I want your will. I want what you have for me. I want your will for my life. Amen.